Happy New Year, everybody. It's January 2nd, 2025, and this is the weekly Backdrop Developer Meeting. Today is Feature Freeze for Backdrop 1.30.0, and we still have approximately 13 hours left in today to see what we can still wrap up for features for the 1.30 release. But even after feature freeze, there's still a lot of work to be done, especially around the basis theme and fixing some CSS now that we have that ability with the new supplemental CSS selectors. We'll get into that. Well, anyway, before we get into 1.30, I'll do some intros. My name is Nate Lampton. I'm Quick Sketch on the internet, and I'm the technical lead for the Backdrop project. We've got a handful of folks here with us today, and we'll go around the room and do some quick introductions. We'll start with Luke, and then we'll go to Herb.
Hey folks, my name is Luke McCormick. I'm Cell Ear on various platforms. I live near San Francisco, and today I'm a writer and a tester.
Great. Thanks, Luke. Herb, and then Martin.
Hi, I'm Herb Vanden Duel. I work for Freeform Solutions. I'm usually Herb Duel on platforms. Although way back I chose a different username for Drupal.org, so it's confusing. Um, I'm one of the core developers, core committers for Backdrop.
Yep. Thanks, Herb. Martin, and then Izzy.
Hi, I'm Martin Price, Yorkshire Pudding around Backdrop, and I'm a Backdrop developer in Northeast England for System Horizons, and I seem to be doing a few more core fixes and features recently, but I mainly do stuff in Contrib.
Thanks, Martin. And finally, Izzy.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I'm a freelance developer in Vancouver, Canada. And I'm as excited as everyone else to see this new version 1.30 plus all of the bug fixes that are included.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Okay, well, let's get started rolling on talking about the 1.30 release. So I'll share my screen and we'll pull up the agenda here. Okay, so what we've been looking at is the sprint document that Tim has been maintaining, linked from the agenda. And the big things today, so if we scroll down to the bottom to see the list of finished stuff. So this lists the kind of big headline items for 1.30 that have been completed. So we'll run through them real quick. So we've got Fast Token Browser was one of the first things that got added. Making the description text configurable. You can put it above or below form elements now. The recent content block is now a view. When editing menu links, the menu and the menu item are now separated into two separate select lists to make selecting menu item parents a lot easier. Adding a background image, there's now the media browser and a preview of the image when you select background image. Link field is now a generic API element and not tied to link fields anymore. 4782 is adding support for supplemental CSS selectors. This is specific to Basis that allows us to add CSS changes to Basis without breaking or affecting current sites in any way, so we can fix Basis moving forward without breaking existing sites or having a chance of affecting them. Let's see. I'm not actually sure what this one is. Allow the book outline vertical tab. Oh, okay. This one makes it so that users with the administer book outlines permission previously would always see they would always see the ability to place any node type inside of a book, even if that book type wasn't specifically permitted to be placed in books for other user roles. So this just makes it so that admins don't get confused by that by holding them to the same restrictions as other user accounts. Oh, it's a little bit of a mouthful to describe that one. And then this one, for yeah, this past week, these two issues are really big items. The backup and restore functionality is now integrated into update.php. So when you do an update, there's now a step to create a backup. And this one is in really good
Woohoo!
shape. Yeah, woohoo! Yeah, it's in really good shape, and it doesn't have any other major follow-ups either. I should always put a screenshot in here when we finish something because I always pop these open. But yeah, looks a lot like this. That adds a step to update.php that creates a backup. But also, there's also a new top level file called restore.php, and restore.php can take a backup and restore it back into your site. So if something were to go wrong with one of your updates, then you can go to restore.php and get your content back. Really great feature that I'm excited enables us to more confidently proceed with automatic updates. So very excited about that one. And then the simplified login pages was completed yesterday, and that looks amazing. So let's take a look at this sandbox, for example, and just logging in. So this is the new login page that users will see out of the box. And this login page is rendered with the 7 theme instead of with the active front end theme. So this is great because a lot of contrib themes don't put a lot of focus on rendering the tabs and the login page in particular. And now they don't have to. The 7 theme takes the burden of styling this and makes it look nice. And so changing your front end theme doesn't change the login pages anymore. Also applies to the reset page, and if we had the ability to create an account, also the create account page.
Out of interest, if we check that the other major admin theme, Gin, works all right with it.
I'm not sure if we checked Gin specifically, but we did check other out of the box themes like Basis, and it provides a new style sheet called User Simplified Page, and it does a pretty good job of centering the content and putting some margins on it, and it looks pretty good in Basis. So, and Basis didn't provide any CSS at all. So I'm thinking it'll probably look in Gin, but yeah, that would be a really good thing to verify before release. So let's see, and let's see, we can pull this up. This also has the ability to has 3 options. The backwards compatible option, which current sites will stay on, but it also provides, so this is, oh yeah, so these are various themes. So this is Basis, and yeah, and if you specify a logo, then the logo is put up at the top instead of the site name. Let's see. I forgot even what I was looking for. Well, anyway, the other forms of the page, but I don't think that there's a screenshot of those. So I'm going to try to, yeah, I'll just go to the user settings here. So let's see, user accounts, login settings. Oops, of course it just logged out. Okay. Okay, so here's the new settings. They're down here at the bottom of the login settings page. And showing the simplified page is the new out-of-box default that we just saw. But then there's also use tabs, which is the previous behavior. And then there's use links, which is also an improvement that when you go and look at the login page with use links, it removes the tabs from the top of the page and switches the action links to be below the form separately and themable. So this makes it so that you don't have to do all of this work to like alter the page to try to get rid of the tabs. Instead, there's now a template, or sorry, theme function that lets you move around this part of the page without having to worry about those awkward tabs at the top of the page for reset password and create account. Here, let's see if I'll turn on account management as well. And now, yeah, there you go. So that's what happens when there's multiple links down there. So I'm really excited
FYI,
about.
I posted a screenshot of Jin in the main issue.
Oh, great. Oh yeah, looks great.
Mm.
It'll probably be a little bit of work to yeah, like I imagine that some site or some themes like Jin might want to do more work on this on the bullets down below, but I think it looks great nonetheless. Yeah, so I'm very excited about that feature and the new backup capability. Those are really big issues for the 1.30 release. The 1.30 release just generally, it's got a lot of stuff going on in it. So there's 27 closed issues in the 1.30 milestone. A lot of them are maintenance things, keeping stuff up to date, fixing some issues, raising MySQL requirements. But yeah, it's a big release for us. So what we've got going on for the remainder of today, we've got the most likely issue that oh, there's two issues. I don't know where the image one is, but I guess it's maybe not in the milestone. This one, allow layout to be selected on additional paths. Still needs a little bit of work because there's some ways that it can be used that don't necessarily make sense. But I did code review this in the past couple of days and it looks really great. Herb, do you have any commentary on this since this is an issue that you're heading up?
Right. Yeah, I think we thought it was ready, but I haven't gone back to it, so we'll see if got enough time before feature freeze.
It's funny that this issue, the primary way that we were demonstrating it was on the login pages. Was on user
Yeah.
login, user register, and user password, because that was the use case that we could come up with that was pretty easy to demonstrate out of the box. But now that that problem is solved through the simplified login pages, it's funny that that particular scenario is is not really the best one to use anymore. So what this does
Yeah.
is oh yeah, go ahead.
Maybe the next best use would be if someone had multiple views, if they wanted to theme them all or the same layout.
Yeah, so what this finally does is it makes it so that down here at the bottom there's additional paths that are kind of like the old school specifying paths that a block would show up on. And what it does is it makes it so that there's the primary path up here, but then if you want this layout to appear on other paths as well, then you can add them down here in this text area. And it's got pretty extensive validation on it. But one thing I noticed, Herb, that I'm surprised that we hadn't raised earlier was that if you, well, first of all, this validation is correct. So you can't have a layout create multiple menu entries at the same time. So home is created by the layout system as a landing page, and if you wanted to say like home 2, it can't just create multiple pages as it probably shouldn't. It will you still have to create separate layouts for that. But what it can do is override system paths. And this particular aspect here is incorrect, that if you have a landing page that is creating a menu entry, it shouldn't allow you to do what I just did, which is oh, that's funny. Okay, there it goes. Which is to override a system path with a path that creates a menu entry. Because the upshot of this is that there's no system content block, main content block on here, and so it makes it so that if you override any other system pages, then that page becomes blank because it doesn't have a main content block anymore. So yeah, so actually, well, that kind of resulted as it made admin basically into the home page, but there's not even the ability to place a main content block here, because because the main path is not an override. So I'm not quite sure what that would look like, UI wise. Ideally, this wouldn't even show up if this was a new path, but I would settle for just validation to prevent that from happening for starters.
This is probably obvious to everybody else, but how is this different from aliases?
So aliases point multiple paths at the exact same page, but what this allows you to do is you actually have different content, and you're wrapping it in the layout system, like if you had two different pages with two different views on them, and then you wanted to have the same sidebar blocks for those two pages, then you could add the same layout to two different paths. So path aliases are pointing stuff at the same page, but this is taking different pages and then wrapping them in the same layout, so the same collection of blocks. It's kind of analogous to using the default layout, where it's like, if you wanted to add a block, and then under visibility conditions you said path, and then you said path 1 and path 2. It's kind of like this, but it's somewhere in between. So right now we have the ability at the list of layouts, we have the default layout, which applies to all pages, and then you have individual layouts which apply to one page. But there's nothing in between right now. It's either one page or all pages. And this makes it so that there's somewhere in between where it's like one page plus some extra ones, so that you can have a configuration that applies to multiple paths. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so this is still coming together. It's technically in a really good spot. There's just some situations where you can use it where it doesn't quite make sense still. So let's see, I want to demonstrate, yeah, so this is another one where it's overriding node/%. And I really like that, there's good examples here of, what you might expect to see, where you might have like node/% slash, well, I don't have any good examples, but if there was like, project module on here, it might be like /project or /telemetry, modules that add additional tabs to the node form, or to the node pages, would be a good use of this. But yeah, something, and if you try to do something like this where it's like there's too many wildcards or not enough, it smartly prevents that because the paths need to have the same number of wildcards in them. But one of the issues that this pull request has is that it does enforce the same number of wildcards, but it does not enforce the same entity type. So I can add it to a different entity type, and then that confuses the system quite a lot because now the fields are being shown for the node entity type and not for the user entity type. So a little confused there. But
That one
yeah,
seems doable to fix, enforcing the entity type.
good. I
The other,
actually thought that would be the harder one to fix.
oh, I haven't looked at it, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
The other one seems harder with the system paths.
Yeah, it would be a
Because
lot harder to hide the whole thing. Like that would really be ideal. You know, we already are doing some Ajax updates on here. So, you know, if this pass were didn't have a wild card in it, then what should happen here? There you go. So the context like disappear. And when you put back in the wild card, you know, it identifies the context. So we do have an Ajax like event that's already happening here, like as you change the path. If we can figure out like, you know, hey, this is uh adding a new menu item here, then we could show and hide this field as well. That would be the ideal outcome. But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about this as far as, you know, having the time to look into it, you know, before feature freeze, before the end of the day?
uh, I think unlikely. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah, it
I,
just seems to be less of a urgency. Um, I would bump it to the next release.
I think that's totally fine. I think that's a good idea even. Because we've really been quite literally burning, well, not literally burning the midnight oil, but we've been up past midnight, you know, working on Backdrop for well over a week now during the holiday. So I think that's a good idea. Like this could be improved further.
Yeah.
Great. All right, so let's see, what are we doing then? Oh, I know. There's the background image is the other one that looks really likely to get completed. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, good. We're joined by Tim here. Not quite sure which Tim this is.
Erickson.
Oh, hi, Tim Erickson. So, uh, the one last thing that we'll probably focus on then is changing the default background image, which has this. The current proposal is doing this wavy background instead of the kind of well, what some people have been calling it fairly accurately is kind of the urban camo pattern, which once you start seeing it that way, it's hard to see it any other way. So now that I've shifted my mentality on that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's really not good to have that kind of you know, out of box like military like appearance. So the waves are a lot friendlier and they are also color module compatible because since this is just a changed background SVG. Um, Related to this, I've been toying locally with replacing these out of box images with SVGs as well. And I think originally, you know, when we introduced Icon API, we thought, oh, can we use it here? And no, it didn't really fit the bill. But now we have the ability to upload SVGs into image fields as well, and that actually looks kind of okay. But one thing I found with it is that, no, I don't have the CSS applied here, but the idea here is that we would apply some CSS to the background or to the element color. And I'm just going to say blue, but oops. Oh, would help if I said background and not backdrop. There we go. And that doesn't look great, but you get the concept here. So the SVG has a semi-transparent white on it, so that when the background color is applied, it gets dulled slightly. And so it'll be a lot easier once we switch to this SVG actually, because I can take I can open the SVG and pull the color directly out of it, and then we can use the same background, and it will make it so that we can choose one of these shades, and whatever is the background color for the header will also become the background color for the SVGs. And that would be a big step forward for making it so that color module doesn't look bad as soon as you change the header to a different color and your cards all stay the same. But the flip side of this is that because without a background color, it just looks white, that means that the icons can't be cutouts, at least for other themes that haven't taken this into account. So I don't know, there's a downside here that the icons would probably need to become black unless somebody can think of a better solution. And it also might not look as good on other themes that don't support it yet. But it would probably look better with other themes once they adapt and just add a background color to the cards, then they would also start looking a lot better. So I don't know, Tim, do you have any thoughts on, where I'm heading with that?
Not really. I mean, it sounds intriguing, might be a positive step, but I mean, we certainly have to be concerned about contrib themes. So,
So maybe it's too late for this release. But even this, like the SVG does a pretty good job of desaturating the bright blue color, and so these cards look better than they did before. But I also didn't really want to strive too hard to match these cards, because it'd be better if we had the header, the cards match the header rather than the other way around.
Right.
But still a big improvement. So this issue is already marked RTBC, and I mostly have been soliciting other feedback, but it seems like everybody's pretty much in favor of it. I did a poll here at one point. Everybody's in favor of it. Nobody's really opposed to it. So,
and Gozella was playing with the images today. Did she mention if she was finished or?
now, as of 9 hours ago, makes it slightly brighter. She seems pretty happy with it.
And in Zool up there, I think I saw a comment that she dramatically reduced the file size as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I think this one's in a really good shape. So yeah, I'll show you what that looks like on the appearance page. The one thing that makes me sad, and this is a basis issue, is that none of the out of box, like ice being gray makes a lot of sense, but none of the other out of box color schemes actually apply a background to the header. And it just seems like they probably, I just expected that they would have, but they're all gray, and that's the default. That's how the behavior was before with the previous header. And as multiple people have noted, it's confusing as heck to try to change the background for the hero, because the name of the color is mobile site name background. So That's the one that actually changes the background.
Well, is it just a matter of renaming that, or does that have a different purpose that's just sort of confusing?
Yeah, so what it also does is it's this color
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's confusing for other reasons that, it's only visible on mobile. But and honestly, it looks a little bit strange to tie these two things together. I think I'm a little bit loath to suggest this, but I think the right fix here is that we split it out into another color. So, but I don't know.
That could be a follow-up, couldn't it?
Yeah. But I like it.
No, I've been thinking about that too, that there should be, if it's possible to change that, that seems like we don't want to hide that. I mean, on the other hand, we can really overthink this, because in the same thing with those SVG images, right? We don't expect people to keep those.
Yeah.
And we don't really expect people to keep that, that background image. I mean, presumably, I would expect in 99% of the cases, people are going to either get rid of that block or add an image, right? And which basically is going to make all this mute.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I don't know. I think a lot of people will just keep it.
Keep that actual image.
That hero image. Yeah.
Well, they keep the hero, but they replace it with a different image, don't you think?
Or different text.
Sure, but the only way this affects is if they keep the exact image, right? If they drop a new image into that block, then none of this applies, because now it's no longer an SVG. It's an image or a photo.
Yeah. Yeah, but I kind of agree with Herb that there's a certain subset of people that are just like, I just want a website, and I'm not, like the amount of effort that I'm going to put into customizing it is literally like selecting one of these 5 options, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I've run into very, very few sites in the wild that still have that camo image on them, right? Now, because we have a better image, more people might decide to keep it. And I suppose that's the counter argument. It's a better image, and if it's customizable, that might make more people inclined to leave that block the way it is.
Yeah. So yeah, this one, I think that we're pretty well set on it. And this might be it. This might be it for today. As far as like determining what's in the preview release. If we postpone on that one, which needs a little bit more work, then yeah, we'll be set. So what I'm hoping our focus will be after the preview release is out are the CSS fixes for Basis. And I've stated that the follow-up issues for fixing Basis don't need to be beholden to feature freeze. So we have a couple of weeks to sort that out. This one is already RTBC though, fixing the images. Fixing the messages. Although I haven't looked at this last little change that you've made here, Tim. But this is
explain to you quickly.
Yeah.
Do you want to open up the site?
Here we go.
If I talk it through quick, there might be a flaw in my analysis of it. But
yes, I want to just get to a page and then make the messages appear, which I normally do by saving the layout.
Oh, I just usually clear the cache.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
The problem actually should be gone, but the problem was that the dotted line on that box was missing. And the best reason I can tell is that any place where you have that line, that dotted line butting up against another element, it gets covered, because I think there's not supposed to be like it's using outline instead of border. Well, I don't know if that's relevant, but the point is if you have like if you had two hero blocks and that line was up against a hero block, you wouldn't actually see that line because it would merge in, it would be hidden by the image.
Mm.
For the card view, we have a white background, and that white background was basically covering up that line as it would if it were an image or something else. If you wanted to try seeing what the contextual outline looks like in other cases, that if you could do it above, like, is there one up, go to the top of the page, is there one? No, that's not a good example. How about one in the header?
You mean like this?
Yeah, well, that's not gonna work. It does.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Then the
Yeah, kind
navigation.
of.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's missing the bottom dotted
Right, but
outline. Yeah.
it isn't it's obvious because it's sort of at that transition. But it's the problem with us on the messages is that it's between two white spaces, and the view for the cards has a white background, and the white background was covering it. I solved this by just adding a 1 pixel margin to the top of that specific view, because I think it was really that specific view that was causing the problem.
Yeah. I didn't
And-
realize that this was a universal problem. That
Well-
this 1 pixel here that you added.
I don't know if it's a universal problem really, and that it again, is that really a problem there?
Well, that's the thing. It's
I
like
mean,
it's not really much of a problem.
right.
But like fixing it in this one scenario seems like that's maybe not the right thing to do. So
Well, sure.
there's the dashed outline right there.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Does outline not have the ability to
What I
do
was-
like inner or outer?
I don't know. But if I tried changing outline to border, and that doesn't work well because I think it ends up adding in certain cases it adds an extra pixel space.
When I took a look at this a couple of days ago, so it's not up to date with the changes, there seemed to be a wrapper around the 3 cards that was extending quite far up. And I didn't really get a chance to dig into what was going on with that wrapper. And it introduces a lot of the problems that you have with moving things around. So if you've got the messages and the cards placed differently, Tim's done a good job of compensating for that, but I thought the wrapper was causing problems.
Yeah, here we go.
But-
There's this outline offset attribute you can set to -1, and then let's see, like that puts it inside of the container instead of around it.
You could get rid of my extra margin on the top of the view to see if that.
Oh yeah, let's see. So let's see. It's this view.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, there should be a 1 pixel margin at the top of it.
Oh gosh, where is it? It's at view promoted cards block.
I think it's actually on the view.
I think this is it. But but I'm not actually sure where this is. Views promoted cards block. This isn't it actually. Okay, so it's up here. There we go. Here it is. Okay, so now, oops. Huh. That's funny that has such a dramatic effect. I wonder why that is. Oh, I see, because this margin top -0 is now taking effect. Is this supposed to be 0? Or like that's what it was previously? Well, anyway, that's the okay. It doesn't have the margin anymore, but yeah, with the offset -1, the border still shows up. Yeah, so let's take out that 1 pixel and then do a separate thing for like this weird little offset on the contextual links CSS. That's like tiny enough that we could probably add that to contextual links CSS and just fix that problem. Okay. That sound
Sorry, I
good,
lost
Tim?
you for a minute, muted myself. Do you want to fix that together in this PR or do a different PR?
A different PR
Okay.
for that. Yeah. And just take this fix back out. And I'm not quite sure. Was this previously 0 or
I think I added that completely. No, I think you have to get rid of that.
yeah. So let's just take that change back out
Sure.
and don't address my concern and we'll just do it separately. Sorry. I didn't understand the scope of that problem. Okay. Let's see. Something else that we could use a little bit of help with. I've been seeing that that there's been some comments and some activity, and I'm not quite sure actually how to get to.
Did you see that in my Google Doc? I listed like 5 of the basis issues. I added
Did
them to
not
the
see
bottom
that.
of. Well, you keep going
Here
there,
it
right
is.
there.
Great.
So those are some of them that seem like most directly related to CSS selectors. Not all of the basis issues are necessarily, easily fixed with CSS selectors, but these are, I think, some easy ones.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are our likely priorities for post feature freeze. This message placement, it'd be great to get this in today, though. That way the preview release tomorrow will include it.
Oh, sure.
And yeah,
Yes.
that'll make it so the congratulations, you installed backdrop message doesn't look like crud right out of the box. I think just really bothers the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad that'll be fixed. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing.
If there's beginners, some of these CSS fixes are great opportunities to write a PR. That's pretty simple. So anybody who wants their first commit to core, jump on one of these issues.
Well, it's easy to make the issues, but then once it gets into subjective, like, does this look better or not, is just like, oh boy. Well, I mean,
That's true. There will be some discussion about a
yeah,
number
but
of them.
technically not a problem anymore. It's just some
Right.
CSS changes. Okay. Well, yeah, that's the roundup for today. We decided that we'll probably hold off on the additional paths for layouts. We'll merge the new header image. I might still let that sit for a couple more hours to see if there's any last minute suggestions or if everybody's satisfied with it. And yeah, and then we'll work on adding supplemental CSS to basis to fix some other issues. So we'll try to get that message one merged today as well. And yeah, so feature freeze happens tonight at midnight, more or less West Coast time. There's never really a time specified, just whenever there's no more core committers awake to to work on the merging. But we'll make the preview release tomorrow, 1.30.0-preview. And yeah, does anybody else have comments, feedback, thoughts, priorities for 1.30?
Best release since 1.0. Could we say that?
I haven't been around long enough to say that, but I think it's the best one since I've been around.
Yeah, it's what I find to be novel about it is that we're making new changes that are backdrop specific. Like some previous backdrop releases have seemed pretty tremendous, but they were largely pulling contrib modules and existing functionality and putting it into backdrop. Like, the addition of like path auto module, or date, those were like huge things that added massive amounts of functionality all in one release, or entity reference, right?
Mhm.
But this is great because it's doing something new, and it's doing something unique to Backdrop, which I'm really excited about. Those login pages especially, like that's a thorny problem to have solved in the world of Backdrop and what we're inheriting from Drupal. And it really makes us stand apart from our past, which I really like.
It looks so much cleaner. Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah.
It doesn't fit into the realm of major feature, but it is still listed as a feature, and that's a simplified array for database settings, which will have which will reduce quite a number of the friction that people have when, say, setting it up, and the default database password is a complex one, and it'll now just work a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big release. I think that's kind of the thing that's making everybody feel really positive about this release, is that it's just got a lot of small things fixed in it. Was it 27 closed? Well, hang on, I can't even remember. It's got a lot of issues that are merged into it. Plus we've also just had a lot of there's also just been a lot of bug fixes in the 1.23 milestone, or 1.29.3 milestone as well. 27 closed issues in 1.30, and then there's another 24 closed issues in the 129.3 release. So yeah, it's going to seem like there's a whole bunch of stuff that all happens all at the same time when the next release comes out.
Good. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much. Yeah, I posted the login project. Sorry, the login pull request. We had the whole gang in there, it seemed like, and there were like new, because of the holiday. People. I'm gonna call it Doc Wilmot here, who did like several different major versions of the pull request. But then once the holiday started, he was like, "Oh, I'm on vacation internationally." And then we had RG Piano come in and pick it up, but then he was like, "I'm not available until after the new year now." And so, then I picked it up. But Indigo Zella and Herb were constantly reviewing and providing feedback across all three different versions of the pull request. Yeah, it was just a really great to see our team handoffs and collaboration there across different people taking the lead on it. It was really great.
Push it across the finish line.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other last comments before we close for today? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll get those last couple of issues merged for today, and we'll make the preview release issue. So we'll start tracking the creation of that, which will come out sometime tomorrow. And yeah, then a couple weeks from now, we'll be rolling towards the date, January 15th, of the 1.30 release, which is the 10-year anniversary also of Backdrop. So yay. We might not have some of the big items that we'd been like, oh, dreaming of, backdropcms.org redesign or new theme. Like, we didn't achieve those things, but yeah, I'm really excited that the optimism around 1.30 is really high, and that it is a really big release for us in terms of functionality. So still going to be a big hit. And we can always work on those, new front end theme in the next release.
Yeah.
Or back end theme or some theme. But yeah, I like that for now, yeah, we can fix bases. So that's also a big plus. Okay, well, let's wrap up for today. Thanks, everybody. We'll see everybody next week. Bye, everybody.